Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with this Icee Slushy Maker. It's been going around social media. I've got a lot of requests for it. Is it worth 130 bucks? And why are the ratings so low on Amazon? Let's find out in today's video. All right, so here's the full unit. I'm going to dispense with the unboxing because it's so large. I mean, look at the size of the box it came in. It's huge. This is an interesting one. It's been around for a while, but I guess it kind of went around on TikTok or something and everybody's interested in it again. So it kind of gives me a good chance to check this out. The first thing I noticed is that it's 130 bucks, but it's kind of just cheap plastic. It feels like maybe a $30 a cheap blender almost. But that doesn't mean it will work though. But let's take a look at the individual parts. First up is the lid with two different receptacles for ice, water, and also the syrup. And you have this inlet cover, which also uses as a measuring cup. The canister and its cage, I just pulled out of the freezer. You're supposed to freeze that an hour beforehand. And then this is the Icee container itself, and you have the motorized base. Now, both the instructions and people on Amazon are very clear that you have to follow the instructions very carefully or it could be a disaster. So I've read over their top tips and the instructions a couple of times. I think I got it down. So it takes a little bit of preparation. The first thing you're supposed to do is prepare the syrup beforehand. So I bought this syrup on Amazon for 10 bucks. Looks like you get about 3 uses because I've already prepared the first batch. In fact, the reviews are pretty bad for this one too. So both the unit and the syrup are pretty mixed reviews. There's quite a few people that don't like either one of them. So you mix about 6 ounces of this with about 28 ounces of water to create a syrup mix. That's been chilling overnight for me. They say at least a couple hours, but overnight's preferable. It's been there overnight. The next thing you're supposed to do is put the canister in the freezer for an hour beforehand, but not more than that. So it was in there for about 55 minutes. So now I think we're about ready to start, and there's 14 steps to do this. So let's get through these 14 steps and see what happens. Time out here. I've actually just finished my review, but when I was going through the steps to set this up, I didn't realize how loud that machine was. It sounds worse every time I add something to it. So rather than having the machine blaring the microphone, I'll go over it with you and I'll show you the steps I took. Step number 1 is to plug it in. Step number 2 is to set it to the mix function. Number 3 is to ensure that the tap is in the closed position. Step number 4 is to add ice cubes to the unit, only filling it up halfway. Step number 5, you're going to add 2 capfuls of salt. Step number 6 is to add 1.4 fluid ounces of water. For number 7, you're going to fill it up the rest of the way with ice. And then number 8, you're going to add 3 more capfuls of salt. And number 9 is another 1.4 fluid ounces of water. Number 10, add the cap. And then number 11, you add the syrup, which is going to go slow because it'll overflow. Number 12, you're going to let it sit for 15 to 25 minutes while it makes the Icee. Number 13 is the most difficult of all the steps. That's where when the ice drops down to a lower level, you have to add more ice, water, and salt, and you have to kind of maintain it the entire time. It can be a bit chaotic at times. And finally, step number 14 is to switch it over to the dispense mode and dispense your Icee. I had to turn that off. It's been going for about 20 minutes now. I'm going to switch over to dispense and see how it looks. It looks like it might be ready. Let's check it out. On to dispense now. Oh, it got stuck. It got stuck. It's still kind of watery. I've been adding ice and salt the entire time. Yes, I gotta keep going. It's still kind of liquidy. It's like it's like a half melted Icee. Back over to mix we go. Almost there. Let me taste this. That doesn't taste very good. I'm gonna get an Icee. Even if it tastes bad, I'm gonna get one. It's so loud. Let's try this again. Oh, it's closer. Oh, it's much closer now. Now it's almost too thick. In about 5 minutes, it went from too liquidy, but to almost perfect. The texture's pretty good now. All right, there we go. Final result looks pretty good. It's like an Icee. I don't have an Icee cup. I forgot to get those, or even straws, so I'll just use a spoon. The texture is perfect. The taste is not. The good news here is that I got what seems to be, at least texture-wise, a pretty authentic Icee. The bad news is everything else. It's expensive. This is even expensive and doesn't even taste very good. It's a long process. Those videos online showing you how great it is at the end result, they don't show you standing there for 20 minutes adding ice, salt, and water continuously and having to baby this thing the entire process. They don't tell you that this syrup is pretty gross. They don't tell you that they had to prepare syrup the night before and put the canister in the freezer an hour beforehand. They also don't seem to tell you how loud it is. If you don't mind all that stuff, it's not too bad. But before I wrap this up, I did prepare a second batch of syrup just in case something went wrong. I used the syrup from my shave ice maker. So I'm not gonna go through the steps with you once again, but I'm gonna show you the end result right now. Almost 25 minutes, let's check it out. I think we're finally there. We're finally there. Finally what feels like a slushy to me. All right, let's see how this one tastes, because it's gotta be better than this one, right? And by the way, this one I used my shave ice pineapple, so that's why it's yellow. Much better, much better. So this one, not only is the consistency right, but the taste is right too. It's kind of weird the Icee brand was terrible and the non-Icee brand was good. It only took about 30 minutes, but it's pretty good. I think I could have driven to the gas station and been back and been done eating in 30 minutes, but hey, I did it myself, right? That's part of satisfaction, isn't it supposed to be? I think I've got enough to wrap this thing up. So let's recap this now, shall we? Now, as far as the consistency goes, I finally got the consistency of an Icee. Really, in both rounds I did. That's the good news. If you're a DIY kind of person, like the satisfaction of doing it yourself, this could be a good idea for you. Besides the fact that it's $130 and their syrup isn't very good, but there's more cons than pros with this item. It seems like it's a lot of work. You have to prepare it the night before as far as the syrup goes. You have to put the canister in an hour beforehand. You've got to continuously add ice, water, and salt as it's going. You have to maintain it. It's almost kind of chaotic. Then if the consistency isn't right, you have to kind of keep adjusting. It's a lot of work. The unit itself seems kind of overpriced at $130. Their syrup isn't very good, and it's overpriced too. So just being a lot of the videos you're seeing online, they're not showing all that aspect. They're showing the final result and not much in between. In my opinion, it's too much work and too much cost to make this worth the effort. But if you've tried an Icee Maker like this, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. It's already kind of louder than I thought it was going to be. It doesn't sound very healthy, but we're going for it. Oh, that sounds bad. Oh, that sounds bad. It seems like it got quieter once I added this syrup to it, so I don't know. I don't see any leaks, that's a good thing.